I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer of prayer and therapy. You know, there's a reason why God created therapists, trauma therapists in particular. There's a role that they play in our lives. You know, if you would just, I always say that to heal, you need the altar, which is prayer. That is your weapon. And by all means, therapy, because that's a strategy. If you listen to the story that I just told you now, you realize that Holy Spirit led me to writing down my pain, to journaling it. That's one of the tools and strategies that therapists use in their sessions with their patients. It's just that God was the physician was a therapist in my case. I'm a very firm believer in that. And also, something that I want to talk about today is the heart issue. You know, we often make the mistake of thinking we can deal with pain and healing pain using our mental assets, like using our mind. You know, when you experience trauma, first of all, trauma is never healed by time. That's a lie. If you hear somebody telling you that time will heal you, time will never heal you. And trauma doesn't end after the traumatic event. The only time where trauma ends is when you disrupt the cycle and the symptoms of trauma in your life. That's the only time, when you engage it, when you confront it, when you look it in the face and say, trauma, I am here, I'm dealing with you. That is the only time. If you haven't done that work, believe me, trauma is sitting in your body, in your nervous system. Maybe it's dormant for now, but I don't know what will happen the day you have a trigger, the day you have a trigger moment. It could be 10 years after, 20 years after, but if undealt with, believe me, it's still there. And trauma is inevitable to everyone, whether you grew up from a functional family, supportive family, or something will happen to you. You will come out from the family, you will go to the world will somehow cause something, do something that will be a traumatic event. So it's inevitable. We will go through it, you know. And when it comes to, emotional wellness, people don't think associated with people who are crazy, people who are not okay. You know, it's as simple as checking in with the dentist twice a year for your teeth, making sure that there are no cavities. You know, you can imagine what the world feeds us on a daily basis, on social media, on the news. Those things have a traumatic effect on us. And if you don't take inventory of your life, you are bound to be in a state of not emotionally fine, okay, you know. So I want us to identify, because I know the question that is in people's minds right now is that, okay, how do I even know, because there are two types of people. In my case, trauma was a vicious cycle, and it led to me being in a broken state. But there are people who haven't even, who are not there, but if they don't do something about it, they will reach rock bottom. So how do you identify that you are broken, or how can you tell within yourself? Like I said, take stock, you ask yourself, are you happy? And another thing that we need to look into is the relationships, because most of these traumatic things happen in relationships. The relationships that you have, look into those relationships. Are the relationship creating an environment for you where you can thrive and be a better person? Or are you belittled in the relationship? Is there guilt, manipulation? It could be any type of relationship, friend relationship, employee, but you need to really pay attention to the word spoken in relationships. Those things could tell you that this is dysfunctional, there's something wrong, and it can lead you to investigating further, And then there are other things that are just even things we can, if there's physical abuse, I mean, it's no brainer. There's abuse, there's trauma. You need to get away from that relationship. You don't even need to, if there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, then you know that it's a red flag. So those are the things. I want to go back to the heart issue. Why do I say healing is a heart issue? Trauma, when something hurtful, when you experience intense pain, you feel it in your heart. It's your heart that carries the pain. And there's no way then you can think it through, You need the heart to be healed, Instead of getting help, instead of asking God to help us, we usually ask questions. We're like, God, why did this happen to me? What did I do? Did I deserve this? Am I not good enough? And those are wrong questions to ask. We, instead of demanding questions from God, we need to take our pain to God. When I say we need to take our pain to God, we need to have a relationship with pain, engage pain, not run away. If you are feeling it, go to that place and be like, God, I'm hurting, I'm angry, I'm upset. Be self-aware and get to a point of self-acceptance. Describe how you're feeling. Don't filter it. Mention it with its rawness. If you're angry, if you're upset, say it to God, because that will close the gap. You'll begin engaging with God. When you're brutally honest, telling God how you feel, then God is able to, as you are saying all those things, as you are confronting, because sometimes we are so fearful of just confronting the elephant in the room. But if you look fear face to face, if you say, I acknowledge that you are here. I know that you are here. I'm feeling you. You know, just be very descriptive of how you are feeling in that moment. In that moment, it could trigger tears. You can just well up from the expression of how you're feeling, and the time you express, the time you cry, it cleanses you. Toxins that are in the tears go out of you, you know. And when you do that in the presence of God, unto God, healing comes. Healing comes. It will come at that moment of you acknowledging, of you identifying, of you being honest, of you being vulnerable, you know. At that time, healing will come. And people expect us to even forgive people when we're still hurting. Believe me, when you're still hurting, there's no way you can be able to forgive, because your heart is heavy. But you know, I love what God does. With me, God healed my heart, like I told you what happened. And from there, God took me on a journey. I think my healing lasted for close to 2 years. It was a year and months, you know. They were things that I did on a daily basis, like practical things that God made me to do. And I believe that could be therapy for you, you know, because healing is not instant, you know. Remember, we're dealing with the heart. We're dealing with the heart, and once we've dealt with the heart then translates to the mind. And the mind cannot adapt new habits in a day. You will see your abuser and you feel some kind of way, yet you took a decision to say, I am forgiving, you know. And when that interaction happens, it's not you, because your heart is settled. You know that you have forgiven this person. It's just the mind, you know, because the mind is not used to this new way of thinking. So you engage your mind. You tell your mind to say, no, Sizo, we have forgiven. So those thoughts are in the past. You cast them down, you know. And that will constantly happen until you feel no pain. How did I get to a place of wholeness? One day I woke up and I was like, it doesn't hurt anymore. When I think about it, it doesn't hurt. When I talk about it, it doesn't hurt. There's no bitterness in me. There's no resentment. You know, the beautiful thing that I love with God is that God will not only heal you, God will also give you perspective. God will give you compassion, even for the people that were betrayed you, the people that were not loyal. God will reveal their broken state, and you begin to understand that they are not functioning from who they really are. It's their brokenness. It's because they are also damaged, you know, because hurting people will hurt other people. It's not about you, it's about them, but they projected onto you. So that also, it's a lesson that I took, and it's a lesson that I'm sharing with other people, you know. We shouldn't put people under pressure, for saying your problem is because you don't forgive. Just forgive and then move on. You can't forgive when you're still hurting. And God was gentle enough with me to nurse me. And when he did that, he then introduced the topic of forgiveness, you know. Not only did he tell me that, he also gave me a heart to forgive. When I talk of compassion, God will reveal to you the brokenness of the other person, and believe me, you'll stop being selfish. You'll just feel that compassion and love and understanding, and you'd be praying for them, you'd be wishing them well. That's what happened to me. So with me, I started writing. I started engaging with my ex-husband. I spoke to him. I said, can I talk to you? He he kept on postponing, but then I couldn't wait. I wrote him a text, a long text telling him that first, I've forgiven myself and I completely forgive him, and I understand where he was, because in our relationship we were hurting each other. Because when you want to heal, you need to acknowledge your own faults, you need to acknowledge your own toxicity, you need to acknowledge. If you don't acknowledge it, then believe me, if you're playing the blame game, it's not gonna work for you. I wrote him a long text, and he received it well. And even if he didn't receive it, for me, it was not even about him, it was about me. I had to release that bitterness, that resentment that had grown because of everything that we went through together, because he was hurting me and I was hurting him back. It was that toxic relationship, you know. There's so many things that I allowed that pointed to me saying, no, this is because this happened because you were not acknowledging who you were running away from your old childhood traumas, a lot of things. If you want to know more about it, please go back to my previous episodes. They'll give you light on some of the things. There are other people that really broke my spirit, that I mentioned before. You know, having a friend who you think is a friend, and then later getting to know that that friend was behind your back, was just doing things with your husband at the time. It's not easy to handle. But with that friend, I had to call and say, you know, I really forgive you, and I meant it. I really forgive you. Unfortunately, we can't be friends anymore. I know about this and that. But it's better if I love you from a distance, you know, because sometimes you need to create boundaries for yourself. You need to create boundaries for yourself, but it was very important for me to forgive and release, because unforgiveness will kill you. It will put you into prison. It will eat you up like cancer, because the other person on the other side is living their life. They don't even know what you're going through, and you're busy, bitter, and you then because the physical body reacts to trauma. Other people have constant migraines. Other people have developed high blood pressure. Other people are anxious. There's a lot of things, because trauma in its emotional state stays in the body. It stays in your nervous system, and if not attended, the body reacts to it. So usually physically you'll be prone to sicknesses. So with her also, I did that, and what a huge relief! What a huge relief! And knowing that I was liberating myself, and I was shaming the devil in the process, you know. And sometimes you don't really have to care much about vengeance, because really vengeance is not yours, but it's God's. I did that with another one. God. Okay, this one is quite funny. So this particular lady also had an affair with my husband, but at the time when it happened, we were not married. We were still boyfriend and girlfriend. But I carried that resentment towards her, you know. And when God started, when God introduced me to the healing journey, God showed everyone I needed to forgive. Everyone, despite, regardless of what they did to me. So with her, yeah, I did a prayer. Okay, I forgive her. And then this particular day, I bump into her at Pick and Pay, and you know, I saw her, and my human natural reaction was, I felt some type of way. I was like, and I was questioning to say, but Mrs. you forgave her. What's up with you now? So I took that to God. I was like, God, what's up with that? Because I know I forgave her. You were here with me when I did that. And God was like, it's not yet done. You need to have a contact with her. I was like, contact? Whew. God was like, yep, you need to confront her. Hey, believe me, my pride, my ego was like, it was alarming. Like, how do you do that? And I tried negotiating with God to say, but God, can we not keep it within us? And God was like, you need to deal with it, because every time you see her, it will be the same reaction, and you'll easily fall into condemnation. So I had to do it. I had to do it. I remember when I went to see her at her workplace unexpectedly. When I packed my car in the parking lot, just when I needed to go out. At that time, I was still in the corporate world. I got a phone call. I had a client I had a client to see at 11 a.m. That client somehow was early, and that client was like, a very important client was like, okay, I'm here now, 10 a.m. Can we meet? At that time, I'm supposed to meet her. You know, I knew that was the devil, and I was like, I'm not hearing anything about it. You know what? The client has to wait. I bolted out, and I went there. I can't even remember what I said, but I had to get it over with, you know. Oh, something I wasn't expecting. I didn't know whether she would receive me. Like, it was a whole lot of questions, you know, the negative chatter in my mind. But I confronted her, like, please forgive me. This is what. Can we forget of the past? You know, this is a journey that I'm walking. She received me amazingly, you know. I was like, wow, I didn't expect that. You know, I was happy, and just when I was leaving, God began to speak to me. God was like, imagine, God was like, you just freed her, because that was a conversation between me and God. You just freed her because she was also living in condemnation, you know. She desires marriage, and she thinks she's not getting married because of her past mistakes. So now that you confronted her and spoke to her about this, also you free there. So I was like, God, the things you do, I was so amazed, you know, just the whole plan, the whole orchestration, because God knows us, even our intricacies. God understands us fully. It was beautiful to experience, to watch, and we need to heal. We need to heal. I don't know how much I can stress it. We need to get to that place where we're healing our traumas. Some have experienced childhood traumas. And it as much as I talk about my healing journey, believe me, it's still things are still happening even now. But now the good part is that I'm able to engage with whatever that I'm going through. Now I know better. Now I understand. And it's never easy. It's never easy. I said this on my other video, that the healing process is a very messy process. It's a very messy process because it involves emotions. It involves a lot of tears. It involves a lot of discomfort. You know, it's something that you wish you could just, it could wait up for another time, but it's very important that we do it. Healing yourself is connected with healing others. I am here to serve you. As I'm serving God, God is creating a portal. I'm your channel. Whatever God is doing in me, through me, is what I commit to do, even to others. I'm also a product of listening to somebody's story and being encouraged to start my healing journey. There's a lot of women that I look up to, women that I've read their material and found healing in that material. So I'm here as a servant. Let's heal. And guys, please comment. Let's engage. These are real life issues, and the more we talk about those things, the more we encourage others to speak out as well. Because believe me, I'm not alone. You can never be alone. I love you guys, and that's not just words, you know, that's what's deep in my heart. And I wish you all the best in your healing journey. Bye. Thank you.